All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hustle on Purpose podcast, where we bring you knowledge and encouragement to help you better serve your family, your business, and your community. I'm your host, GT Ikard, and today we have a very special guest with us today, Marshall Golleher. How's it going, man?
Going good, man.
Did I
Glad
say
to
that
be
right?
here.
I butchered it.
Yeah,
Didn't I?
no, you got it.
Okay.
You got
Cool.
it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here today, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do the people need to know about Marshall? Where are you from? What you do? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like you said, my name is Marshall. I'm from Mableville, Arkansas. I'm a real estate agent with the Rackley Team. I've been doing it about a year.
Awesome, man. So, been in real estate for a year. How's that been going?
It's been going well, man. My first year I finished with 14 deals.
Wow.
And then this year I'm almost past what I was at last year. I'm about halfway as far as the gross went, off of less deals, which is always fun.
Yeah, that's incredible. That first, I forget the exact stats on the drop off after year one and year two, but I mean, I think it's like 80% of real estate agents don't make it to year two.
Mm-hmm.
So congrats on that.
Absolutely.
What would you say has been the biggest struggle? You know, if somebody comes to you and they're like, Marshall, I'm really thinking about becoming a real estate agent, what's your advice to them on, pitfalls to avoid and things like that in that first year?
Yeah. If they have been in sales previously, I just tell them to, get ready, save up some money, and let's get into it. If they have no sales experience, I really love it if they would, either go sell. I've been sending people to sell solar panels just because it gets you uncomfortable talking to people. If you're getting into it with no sales experience, it's tough just because it's an uncomfortable job. And if you are okay with being uncomfortable, it makes it that much easier. But yeah, I tell people, you need to either have a part-time job, you need to either eliminate all of your bills or have 6 months savings if you're going to get into it.
Yeah. I think some people don't understand the time involved in getting a deal done.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm going to get into real estate. And it's like, okay, well, it's like, you've got to go get your license.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to take you some time. It's like 60 hours of mandatory class time and whatever. Then on top of that, even if you have, your parents want you to list their house for sale or whatever, like you have clients ready to go, it's still going to take time. Like you still gotta do all the work. Like the time it takes for you to get to a payday can be a long time.
Oh yeah. I mean, from the time that I quit my job in December on kind of a whim, I was halfway through real estate school at the time, and I didn't see my first check until March.
Sorry, that was from when to when?
December 2021 to March 2022.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, and I came into it, already having a few clients in my pocket just to set that they knew I was doing it, and
right.
they hit me up, and I mean, still it was 3 months before I saw anything.
Right. The other thing that I think people don't understand when they look to become a real estate agent is it's a service industry job, and there's a lot of working hours that aren't typical work hours.
Yeah.
Like you have clients that can only go view houses when they're not working, and that's nights and weekends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it gets glamorized a lot, and it can be glamorous. It's I think it's a great profession, and I harp on the need for real estate agents all the time. But it's easy for people to glance over all of the hard work and stuff that goes into being a good one.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people think it's easy money and it's just something you can do part-time and make an extra $30,000 a year. And, if you are well-connected, if your family is well-connected, you could do it part-time and make, a good amount of money. But I mean, if you're coming into it without those connections, it's not an easy hustle,
Yeah. Yeah, you almost have to, there's almost two different types of agents. There's like part-timers and full-timers.
Yeah. And then you have that special kind of thing click when it's like, somebody does come into it with connections and they also have a good attitude. And I mean, those are the people you see really, really, murder it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, my first deal was like a $74,000 condo. Like it, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with how everything gets paid in real estate, but that was like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like I paid 3 bills with that, and
Right.
that's a, you know.
And you're like, okay, like
Yeah.
I get to stay afloat a little bit longer.
But the feeling, you know, the feeling of helping that client, you know, because that it's like my old Taekwondo instructor, man. Like it just felt so good, you know, helping him find a spot. And it's
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It's a vital job, because one of the hardest things I find about helping people with real estate, whether it's through being an agent or whatever, is everyone has some level of knowledge when it comes to real estate, right? And so that leads a lot of people to thinking they have it all figured out, or like they don't need an agent because they've rented a house their whole life, or they've bought 2 houses in their lifetime, or whatever.
yeah.
And it's like every deal is so different, and there's all kinds of buyers and sellers and managing all these different expectations and negotiating these deals and getting them across the finish line, that you need a professional on your side to be an advocate for you and to, you know, protect you and make sure everything goes smoothly. After a deal is done, I think people often see the value in an agent, but I know a lot of people struggle to see the value before the deal happens.
Especially in the market that we're coming from, this market where you could literally, you know, put your house on Zillow.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you don't price it just ridiculously too high, it's going to sell.
Right.
Which was the market that I came into, you know? And I mean, a lot of people, they cut their own lawn, they cut their own hair, and they sell their own house. But some people, if you just don't want to deal with that stress, that's where, you know, as far as selling your house goes, not having to deal with the stress, not having to deal with worrying if you're going to break a law, you know, by not getting something signed or not disclosing something that was supposed to be disclosed.
Right. Yeah. And not getting professional pictures, or
Yeah,
not,
that's
you know,
huge,
staging
man.
your house properly or whatever. Like, having somebody that's experienced in that, they're going to bring more value than they're going to cost you.
I agree. You know, I don't know what the statistic is. It's out there, and I wish I had it on hand, but there is a statistic that supports the fact that, you know, people that list with an agent generally do make more money. And it is what you said, the little stuff, the pictures, you know, just cleaning the house before you take the pictures is the craziest thing I see on Zillow.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
no
I cringe
preparation.
every time I just see somebody's like cell phone pictures with like their kids will be in the pictures, and I'm just like, what? Like,
and it's
come
not
on,
an iPhone
guys.
14. It's like an iPhone. It's
Yeah.
like the
Come
iPhone
on,
6,
guys.
man.
Yeah, right. Like, spend the $90 to have somebody go, like a photographer to go take the pictures.
Yeah.
Don't sell your $500,000 house with free pictures.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. And that's, like I said, in the past market, people were getting away with that, and it's okay to do it. And, you know, we're starting to see that shift now where, you know, more and more for sale by owners are on the market 80 days or 150 days. And,
Yep.
you know, and those are the people that they don't necessarily have to sell, because I feel like if you have to sell and you try doing it for sale by owner for 2 months and you get nothing, most people, something's going to tick in their head that's like, okay, I need to
Right.
talk to an agent.
Yeah. So as a real estate investor, like, I'll normally look at the MLS 2 ways. It's either I need to be seeing the listing first, right? So we're looking at stuff that's hit the market today, or I need to be seeing it last. And it's like, what is still stuck out there that's been on the market for forever? And what I find with that stuff that's been on the market forever is one of 2 things. We find a seller that is very motivated. They just haven't, you know, they're busy with other things. They just haven't been able to figure out, or they have a terrible agent, because there are terrible agents out there. That agent that's listed that house and it's been out there for 90 days, is their communication's terrible. Like, we can't, you know, figure out how to get access. And it's just like, oh, well, that's why it's been listed for 90 days, is because this agent is really dropping the ball. Or it's a seller that has no motivation to sell.
Yeah.
And they've literally just thrown it out there just to see what happens. So we actually just talked a lot. We did a video recently on figuring out a seller's motivation, because that's going to be really crucial for you when you're trying to buy something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it just made me think about it when you were talking about like houses that had been listed for a long time.
Yeah. And
a
big problem with that is, there's a lot of agents that I've probably lost out on deals because when I'm pricing something with somebody, I'll let them know, hey, this is where we feel like this house should sell for. We'll know within the first week if we're too high or too low. If we're too low, then we're going to get in a multiple offer situation. If we're too high, there's not going to be many showings, and you're going to notice on Zillow that there's not any saves and there's not a lot of views. And if you're not okay with making an adjustment once we figure out what the problem is, then like I said, that's where I've lost some people. It's like, hey, if we don't have any action or any interest in the first week, nothing's going to change. There's not a button I can magically press and, make more people want to come see your listing.
Yeah, that first 48 hours, I would even say, that you have a listing up, you're going to probably have a pretty good idea.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And different markets are, like in Cabot, you're not going to have a similar deal as in Little Rock. There might be a house listed in Little Rock for $220 that gets 20 offers still. I mean, we recently, 20 offers over asking, appraisal clauses, appraisal gaps, and then that, same house in Cabot that's priced correctly, and it's just going to move slower, just because less people are flocking to Cabot right now.
Right. And that's why you need an agent, is somebody that's got that experience, somebody that's in the markets and sees what's going on and can help you.
Yeah.
Because most people, if they don't have an agent, they know what they're like. Aunt Susie, twice removed, has a story about how 6 months ago she sold her house and she got $80,000 over list price. It's like, okay, well, you're in a completely different situation than her. Your house is completely different. The market's you need you need somebody to walk you through your specific situation.
Absolutely. And the market's changing so much right now.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's just, it is insane.
Yeah. I got into real estate for the stability. And then it's like, I feel like I've been in crypto for the last 3 years. It's it's insane. I'm just like, what is happening? Anyway, I wanted to touch on you mentioned recommending people need sales experience. Did you, what were you doing before real estate?
So straight out of high school, I was going to go to college, and then I was working at a movie theater, and a buddy of mine calls me and he said, hey man, I got you an interview over here at a Dodge dealership. And I had never once thought about selling cars. Yeah. The only thing I remember was in high school, just Googling highest paid jobs with no degree. And that was one of them. And I was like, okay, let's try it. And I did really well. The first month I sold 24 cars, and from there it just kind of, just kept going. I did 2.5 years there. And the thing about the car business is, you're going to make enough money to do whatever you want to do, but you're not going to have a super high quality of life. That was just my experience, at least in it. Awesome vacations, and I had everything that I wanted as far as materialistic stuff, but I didn't have time to just do the stuff that mattered, like hanging out with the family, playing baseball with my nephews, whatever it was. And that job is kind of how I got connected to Chase at the Rackley Team. Is one of the part owners there. He told me to give Chase a call, and
cool.
It's been really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and your needs for that personal time are just gonna grow as you get older.
No kids, no wife.
Right.
If this keeps going, man.
It's awesome to hear a young guy having that forethought, because that is a journey in itself, getting to a place where you have more free time or more control of your time. And I have so many friends that didn't see what I was doing when I was working towards that. And now they all either, are married or have kids or want to be. And they're like, a lot of them are just in a place where their career consumes them. And they're like, what am I going to do?
Yeah. I felt like not wasted, but honestly, if I would have done a year of car sales and then went to real estate, I think I would have been fine. But yeah, man, I mean, from age 18 to 20, 60 hours a week, Monday through Saturday. You get a day off during the week sometimes, but I mean, it just wasn't sustainable. I was probably my unhealthiest I'd ever been. I was about 160 pounds, man.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
it was not a great time.
Yeah. So you are a young guy. How old are you? Can I ask you that?
Yeah, I'm 21. I turned 22 at the end of this month.
21. I barely even remember 21. So being that young, in real estate, do you think it's helpful or do you think it works against you? Is there's challenges that come along with being a young guy?
It really depends on the client. I mean, if it's a younger client, I feel like it totally helps.
Right.
If it's an older client, depending on the older client, it could be a detriment. But one thing I do is if I'm meeting with somebody that I think might care about that, I'm going to bring somebody in the office that's, 30, 35, just to show that,
the old guys that are my age.
No, I don't think old, man. I don't think they're old, but
yeah. Because experience matters.
For sure.
Right?
That's actually why I got with I started off independent. I started off at another team at Keller Williams, and I had really bad experience. Not with Keller Williams, but with this team. And then I went independent at Keller Williams, and I noticed, I was like, I have no validity. I cannot, if somebody's like, why should I choose you as the agent? All I could say is, I'm going to hustle hard.
Right. Which that is your like competitive advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, but not being able to show the numbers and say, look, this is why you should choose me.
Right.
That was a big reason why I went with the team and the Rackley team specifically, because the numbers are just, when I start bringing out the numbers, it's just very self-explanatory.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes total sense. It brings up a topic that while we're talking about people getting into real estate, like we were earlier, I don't think is brought up enough to new agents or potential new agents. Is like picking a brokerage, because nothing against Keller Williams or brokerages like that, but also a little bit against them, is like they're machines that are created to plug you in, give you an opportunity and an education. But a lot of times those machines can leave people just like, you just get like chewed up and spit out is kind of the feeling.
It wasn't for me. I mean, they have a great classroom setting type education, which for some people, I'm sure it works wonders. I know people over there that are doing amazing.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
But yeah, when I was sitting down in that class and just kind of learning that way, I knew quickly, like if I stay here, I'm getting out of real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to need, you had mentioned like 6 months of savings. If you're going to do a large brokerage like that's going to charge you a lot of monthly fees and stuff like that, you may need more than 6 months, because you're spending money to be at that brokerage, and it takes a while to start getting money in. So.
Yeah. And that's where I was at, man. It got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm out of money. What do I do? And I just started doing DoorDash. And I was doing the DoorDashes and giving my card to the people at the door. It's like, hey, by the way, I just started real estate.
That's awesome. Dude, I love it. A lot of people would be like embarrassed to do something like that. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
no,
you got to be able to kind of throw your ego out the window.
Absolutely.
And like do what you got to do.
There was a Jim Carrey quote that really resonated with me. It was, if you're not willing to sacrifice, and this I'm paraphrasing, but if you're not willing to sacrifice a year of your life, to potentially change your life and chase your dreams, and you care way too much what people think. And I mean,
so true.
When I left the car business, there was people that told me, you're never going to make this type of money. You're not going to be happy. Like
anytime you leave any kind of industry, people are going to say something like that to you, because your decision to leave, like they have to deal with your decision. Right. And in their mind, they're like, okay, if I admit to myself that Marshall's making the right decision to leave the car market, the car industry, then I also have to admit to myself that I'm making the wrong decision by staying.
Right.
And people like, I've been in similar situations, and I've kind of worked through this in my head, and I've become comfortable with the fact like, oh, it's not about me, it's about them. Yeah.
I think that's the right mindset. If somebody decides to leave the Rackley team, I'm not going to be like, you're not going to make it in real estate. That's the worst thing to be. So I'm like, dude, I hope you make it. I don't know. I don't care where you go.
Yeah.
I just hope you get blessed.
Well, and now, like, I mean, I'm sure you still know a lot of people in the car industry. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on with that right now. We don't necessarily have to get into it, but I I fear for not just people in the car industry, but what it's going to do to our country as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of really scary stuff going on out there with the car financing and valuations of cars. And I mean, besides people's homes, which is typically their largest investment, then they have their car.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That was kind of a lingering thing in my head. Cause when COVID hit, it changed the way that it changed cars in general. That first month after COVID hit, things plummeted. I bought my car that month for like $16,500.
Smart. Yeah.
And then I put 80,000 miles on it and I could sell it right now for about $16,500.
Right.
You know, it's scary for sure.
Yeah.
And I pray for all my buddies that are still in the car business, hustling hard, and it's a scary thing. The Carvana, that's what really kind of scared me out of it. Cause I was like, okay, I know that it's an unenjoyable experience buying a car. It doesn't look like they're trying to make it a more enjoyable experience on our side.
Right.
So what's going to happen in 10, 15 years? Tesla's already murdering it by doing it their way.
Without lots.
Without lots, without car salesmen.
Yeah. It's actually the same. So I used to sell insurance.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I got out of insurance was a robot's going to be doing this job. Like they were actively training us on how the robots were going to take our job.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, because it's kind of like shopping for a house. Like everybody sits in bed with their spouse at night and looks at Zillow or whatever. Well, they want to avoid talking to a person as long as possible, generally. And it's the same with insurance. It's like, why would somebody take a meeting with me when they can be sitting there at midnight on their phone and just order what I would be selling them anyways?
Yeah. The biggest thing with insurance that I'm thankful for, I've got a really good insurance agent, and his rates he just went independent, but his rates were higher than, other companies that I could have gone with. But the value of having somebody, to be like, hey, I just hit this guy's car, what's my next best move after, you leave a note or whatever. And
right.
Having somebody to talk you through, it's cool. But my generation doesn't like talking to people, man. Like they don't. Most of my first time buyer clients, they don't do many phone calls
until they need to get somebody on the phone, and then they're like, "Why can't I get I get transferred to some other country and whatever?" It's because the company's giving you what you asked for. Yeah. You don't like talking to people, so they they get the cheapest person they can. Anyways, didn't mean to get down the insurance road.
No, it's just all funny. Good, man. Insurance, cars, and houses. I could talk about those three for a lot. Yeah. That's just where my people, a lot of my close friends, close relationships came from those three industries. Right.
I think this brings us to my favorite question, and it's like, do you have any crazy stories? I mean, you've been in real estate for a year. You were in car sales for a couple of years. It can be a car sales story.
My car sales stories, they're probably more outlandish.
Yeah.
The craziest real estate story I have is, it's not that crazy. It's just kind of a wow factor. One of my clients was buying a house that he or she knew where, he lived close to it. Mm-hmm. And so they would drive past it, see what was going on. We thought it was a vacant property.
This is under contract?
Under contract. Yeah. This is under contract about a week before closing. And he calls me and he's like, dude, somebody's smoking meth in my house. And so instantly I start just like, what is going on? like who do I call, man?
Yeah.
I don't have a contact on hand to fix this problem.
Yeah.
So I ended up just calling the listing agent, and I was like, hey, so this is what's going on. And the problem was fixed. We never heard anything back from it, but that's always going to be something that I remember.
That's a great way to put it. The problem was fixed.
Yeah, the problem was fixed, and
yeah. We had a problem. Now there's no problem. We're good.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen Breaking Bad, but there's a part the part in Breaking Bad where Saul and Jesse, they're trying to get the house, and Saul's like, I think $400,000 would be the right price. And like, we're asking $800,000. It's like, yeah, but you didn't disclose the meth lab in the basement. And it's like, that instantly came to my head. I was like, could we get this house a little cheaper? What's happening here? But
your client calls you, there's somebody smoking meth in my house, and you're like, this is great news.
Yeah. As far as the car sales stuff, man, we would see the craziest stuff. I don't go into a lot of hoarder houses, but I saw a lot of hoarder cars, man. I'm talking about McDonald's stacked to the roof of an $80,000 truck. This specific guy, this was crazy. This is a repeating character at the car lot too.
Okay.
He'd come by probably once every 2 or 3 months and get it appraised. And one of the times he wasn't even my client. Like it was just like he's coming and everybody goes out there to look at this car because it's like there's just so much stuff. He had a can with worms in it, live worms, just sitting there. We asked him about it. He was like, "Yeah, those are my pets." And
Bro,
we didn't end up getting the trade. Yeah, it was a rough one, man.
I was hoping there was going to be like, he also had like other fishing equipment. He was going fishing that afternoon or something.
No.
It's like, no, he just has.
No, he would get his truck appraised, let everybody look at it, and then he would get a bicycle out of the back and just ride around the lot for 30, 45 minutes, get back in his truck and leave.
Just as like a hobby? Like,
I'm wondering if we're the only car lot that he went to. Like maybe he's like, okay, all right, darling, I'm going to get it appraised today, and goes to
just
15.
for what? Like the free coffee inside? Like,
dude, I know that he never, we would present the number to him, but he would, all right, just takes it, goes back to his pets.
Maybe it's like a security blanket. Like he just needs to know that like his car is still.
I don't know, man.
Worth something?
You saw a lot of, I worked at a Chrysler Dodge Jeep store, and there's nothing wrong with people that drive Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. Those are awesome vehicles.
Right.
But, it's middle class, and I love middle class. It's where I'm from. And the middle class is where you see some wild stuff, man.
Some wild stuff.
Shout out to the middle class.
Shout out. Yeah, it's the same with like, so I'm in real estate, but I'm usually dealing with affordable housing rentals.
Yeah.
And that's I wasn't trying to be rude on my phone, but I wanted to show you because speaking of hoarder houses, we had a house that like the way we work is like we'll analyze a deal on the computer, and then if it looks like it's something that might work out, then we'll go actually look at it in person and like figure out precisely our rehab costs and whatever, and that helps us figure out our offer, right? Josh, a guy that works for me, went to check out this house. I'm trying to find. Oh wait, hold on. No, that's not it. I'm trying to figure out where he sent it in, but he went in this hoarder house, and it's like hoarders tend to have a specific thing that they hoard, right? It's like somebody will have McDonald's trash to the ceiling, or like some people it's newspapers. This guy, here isn't all the pictures, but here's one. So this house, the entire floor is covered with 2-liter bottles.
Oh my God.
So, not everybody will be able to see this, but there's more pictures of the house, and they're all stood up. They're all stood upright, and the whole house with very narrow walkways around them, just 2-liter bottles. And so Josh's joke when he sent this to me was like, "This guy must be the ring toss champion at the fair." I thought it was hilarious because it does look like that game where the bottles are set up and you toss the rings.
How do you get started doing that? That's my question.
The problem, my main issue with them is that they're not empty, and I'm worried about what's in them.
Oh man.
Yeah. They're not empty, but they're not full either. Like they're not like,
you get down to the last few, and
he's not like doomsday prepping, and he's not just like hoarding like fresh bottles of like 2 liters of Coke.
Yeah.
Like there's some sketchy stuff going on. I was like, we're not buying that house solely just because like I'm not gonna rent a dumpster to have all this like possible.
Oh, for sure.
Like
man.
Just biohazard.
It's probably like $300-400 in plastic right there.
Oh gosh.
Take it to the people.
Oh, yikes. Just yikes. Well, that's awesome, man. Let's see. So we'll wrap it up. But before we do that, I want to make sure you have a chance to tell people how to find you.
Yeah.
You're a young real estate agent that can, you're a part of a great team, the Rackley team. And on top of that, you've got that time to be able to hustle. And I think you make up for any lack of experience you may have by having the backing of the team.
Yeah.
And the, that ability to not be tied down by a lot of things that older people might be. You can put that time into hustling and getting deals done for people. So
yeah. You can find me anywhere on social media. Just my first and last name, Marshall Golleher. Please feel free to give me a follow. But yeah, so social media is kind of where I'd say 90% of my business comes from. And it's a huge blessing. Like I was talking with Randy, I've always loved making videos, and I finally found something where it's like it could be profitable.
Yeah.
Because for so long it was just, I either didn't make them because I thought I was wasting time, or I made it and I was self-conscious about it. Now it's like, and I try to put out 2 or 3 videos a week, just educating people.
That's great.
If you go through my page and you binge watch it, by the end of it, you'll be like, okay, I have what feels like a decent understanding of how it works buying a house and what goes into it.
Yeah, that's great, because the knowledge is important. Like I tell people, it's just like the main issue that I see with people following stuff on social media is they'll go follow 27 real estate people. And it's like, that's okay if you're the type of person that can like hear something, agree with parts of it, leave parts of it that you disagree with, and you can kind of accumulate that knowledge. But a lot of people, it's just like, that's overwhelming. You're going to hear conflicting information, and it's going to leave you worse off than if you hadn't heard any of it.
For sure.
Because you can go follow like Dave Ramsey and Grant Cardone and just be stuck in the middle and be paralyzed.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, one guy's telling me that like debt's amazing and I should go buy $600 billion worth of apartments. The other guy's telling me like not to have any debt and to go cut up my credit cards and you just get stuck in that middle zone. So I like what you said. It's like, just go check out my page, binge watch all of that, and like you'll have a clear, concise vision of how to buy a house or sell a house or whatever.
And anytime I give like a direct quote or a direct number, like a percentage, I had a video that I did not too long ago about experts had predicted in this year, 2023, nationally, real estate prices are going to drop 1.9%. And then from 2024 to 2027, they're supposed to raise 3.5%. And, if you're hearing that and there's not a reference or you can't tell where I got that from, it'd be sketchy, and there's people out there that are just putting info out there. And I'll be honest with you, man, if anybody tells you they know what's going to happen in real estate, that's just false. Because somebody could make some national leader could make a call and then everybody's world is upside down. And, the price of your home is the last of your concern.
Right. Yeah. If that person's not like the head of the Federal Reserve, I probably wouldn't like take the time to listen to him. Yeah, absolutely. All you can do is plan contingencies for, a lot of various outcomes, in my opinion. So, but real estate's great about that. There's ways to make money in real estate no matter what the market's doing. Yeah. I've said it before on here. It's like part of it's always hard. If it's the financing's easy, then the buying's going to be hard because competition's high. Like there's a give and take everywhere, and a part of the process is always hard. So I feel like once people know that, it's like, hey, like it's never easy. Part of it is always hard. Then it's easier to just like, okay, and like keep moving forward. Yeah, absolutely. So awesome, man. Well, go check out Marshall on his social media if you need a house bought or sold. Marshall, thank you so much for coming out today and sharing with us. And thank you all for listening. Hope this helped you be more equipped to go out there and crush it. Be sure to go check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And remember, guys, hustle on purpose.